On this week's episode of Pretty in Pride, Kiki and I review the latest installment of the Mission Impossible franchise, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. We then wax poetic about Hollywood movie stars, what it takes to be a star in Hollywood, whether Tom Cruise is the last star among us, and whether or not the new generation of celebrity has what it takes. We then talk various pop culture topics, from Taylor Swift's Masters to my discovery of blind items, before closing with our weekly ins and outs. Happy listening.
Okay. I don't fear no man, but I'ma still put 60 in this Drake. Set it off like Queen Latifah, nigga playing with my cake. Split the bag up with my brother, 50-50 what we made. I can't let no nigga eat that ain't contribute to this plate. Run it up, I just need that.
Let's get into it right away. We're on a little bit of a time crunch this week. Welcome back, Pretty in Pride listeners. I'm your host, Kiki.
And I'm your host, Ken.
And we're just going to dive right in. I don't care how your week was. Quick circle backs to last week. I went on the hike. We had a follow-up actual date from that. And that's all I'm going to share at this time. So.
Okay.
Cool. Let's just kick it off with, we saw Mission Impossible yesterday. Oh, wait, hold on. I guess I should ask, is there anything from your week that you do want to share?
I guess the boring stuff first. I have been suffering a little bit of a pinky ailment because I've been scrolling TikTok so much and resting my phone on my pinky.
Yeah.
That I've actually injured myself. And this is not the first time that my fun enjoyment activities have led to hand injuries. There was a period where I was playing video games like 18 hours a day during COVID, and I ended up with like a wrist, like an esports level of wrist injury without the esports salary. So
when we were younger and we played Nintendo 64, Castaway specifically, that you had the joystick with the roundness on it, we'd do this. And I ended up with blisters on my hand from playing this game so much. So I can relate to that.
Yeah. I wanted to also just quickly circle back to see like how's Poochie doing after taking her to the vet and like settling in.
Yeah, she's doing much better. Her and Bean are doing okay. Bean's a weird dog. Like he's like, well, I want to be in the kennel. I'm like, well, why do you want to be in the kennel? Like, so when I went to go leave today and at Kennel Pooch, Bean ran towards the kennel and they got into a little argument over it. And I'm like, okay. Bean, you're not in the kennel. Like, I don't understand. But there is also another kennel in a different room if you want to go sit in it, which he does all the time. So I'm like, whatever. But overall, I think they're doing pretty good. I caught a picture of them both hanging out in the kennel today together. Maybe I'll share it on our socials. So she's very domineering, and he's kind of like, whatever. But I think overall they're pretty good. So.
Yeah, Poochie met the rest of the pack, but by herself.
That did not go well. I mean, it went okay because your dogs are good, and they're just normal dogs. They're curious, but...
It was interesting. I don't know if it's because they've never met other female dogs, and I don't know that my one female dog, I don't know what her role is in all of this, but like Osiris, who's not a vocal dog and is really, really chill, was very vocal.
I feel like they were like that when they first met Bean and Bart. Like, they're very curious about what these little toy animals are to them, They're like, oh, hey, little tiny buddy. And every dog I've had, but Bean and Bart especially, was not down with that. He was like, you do not come near me in your own house, okay? But I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
And it'll be better. But Poochie reacted differently. Bean and Bart kind of like freeze and like... Whereas Poochie was like running away and they're like chasing her around. And I'm like, I haven't had Poochie long enough to really throw her to the wolves like that. So I was like, okay, this is maybe not the best mom move, but it's okay. All of the dogs get along well enough to be in a space somewhat together. So, there's no biting and stuff like that. So, and then another boring thing I want to do just before we get into Mission Impossible is I tried the new horchata syrup that Starbucks has. Let me say it right. Horchata syrup that Starbucks has. And it's okay. It just tastes like cinnamon. But yeah. Overall, I rated it a 7. So.
Okay. Is it sugar-free?
It's not. That's why I only had them do one pump. so I can taste the essence of it
They-
without actually getting all those calories. But it's really strong. Like, I can taste it a lot. The point is that I am booked and busy. Bonnaroo's coming up. I have more work travel in July. So the year's just going by. I'm like, I really wanted to, do more weekend fun trips to visit some of my friends, visit Dad. But it's going to go by before any of that happens. So we'll see. Okay.
Oof.
Last night we saw Mission Impossible. Now, first thing I want to talk about is we saw it in IMAX. We did not see Sinners in IMAX, and watching Mission Impossible in IMAX, I was like, yeah, we missed out because that was actually dope, and that's how I want to see every single movie.
Yeah, we were too late to the game. It was already out of IMAX by the time we saw Sinners.
Okay, so when we first started this podcast, or one of the earlier episodes, you had said, I don't go to the movies. I don't go to places where white men shoot up places, which is fair. But
I don't go to schools and I don't go to public movie
Don't go to
theaters.
movies. But we've gone to the movies now twice within a month, and I feel like that's going to be more of an occurrence for us because it's fun. And I actually do like seeing movies. We had talked about this, like how they're meant to be seen, like loud, ruining my hearing for future me, just blasting it in there. And so 2 things you said: no franchises, wrong. No movie theaters, wrong again. So
I said franchises were out because I was so sick of the fact that I'm losing track of where these
and now all
plots
we've done
are.
is talk about and rewatch every single franchise.
Done nothing but watch franchises.
Because something about franchises that is interesting is that, like, if you like the story, I guess a part of you does kind of want it to continue. I don't know what it is. Like, if they do it well and they don't slop it up like Too Fast, Too Furious, which is iconic in its own route. But if you're not slopping it up and throwing it together just for, like, the sake of doing it, easy buck, it's really good.
In my defense, it is a lot harder when a franchise is trying to continue storylines so that you have to remember things that happened
So true.
in like the previous movie or past movies, and they don't do a good job of keeping up with that.
Right.
Like, if I were to ask or even try to think about like the differentiation between Fast and Furious 6 and Fast and Furious 8, I don't know what the major plot points of those films are.
Yeah.
But like, when I dove into my franchise viewing, it was like I'm watching Aliens and Alien, which are like kind of separate stories, even though they're continuing the Ripley story. Like, there's such a time jump that you really just need to know that there's an alien that's on the ship and it's trying to kill everyone. So like, I didn't need to keep track of like, oh, this one thing that was said in this scene or this like huge plot point. So same with the Predator franchise that I watched. Mission Impossible also does a really good job because essentially the central theme of this film series is that Ethan Hunt is not going to sacrifice one life. He's not going to sacrifice the one life to save millions. He's going to still try and save the one life, and he's the only one who can do the impossible mission.
I will also say that when I started, like, I had watched some of the Marvel films, stopped watching them, and then when I got really back into Infinity War, I didn't feel like I needed to see all those other movies necessarily to really enjoy Infinity War, so I agree.
Yeah.
Now, Ethan Hunt, as the only man that can save the entire universe,
Naturally.
our version of Superman or Thor, was... Okay, so let's just start with the plot. First of all, the plot of this movie is very convoluted. They do this
insane
setup to start, and like first of all, the setup takes like 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, maybe it's a little too complex if the setup is like calling back to all of these things, and I'm like, okay, wait, there's like 17 missions in this one mission.
Yeah.
The movie's like 3 hours long. Mind you, I was enthralled for a lot of that time. So did it feel, I mean, I definitely had to take a bathroom break in there, but the setup of it, I remember we were just sitting there, I'm like, okay, I turned to you, I was like, this is the most complicated setup in the history of setups. So that was my first thought.
Okay.
I'm like, I feel like I had a lot of thoughts while I was in the film, and now I'm like, I'm blanking. But I'm sure they'll come back as we talk about it.
Okay.
I really loved obviously the callback of all the characters, the callback of the other movies. John Woo was totally left out. But I was thinking when you said that part of it is because I don't fully remember the plot of that movie, but it seemed like a very like singular mission, like that it was about one man that was like maybe like an arms dealer. That's not really saving the world level status. It's like one villain that you're taking down status. So I was like, that's okay.
And I mean, to be honest, Ethan Hunt likes them white and brunette, and Tandy Newton is neither of those things. She's brunette, but she's not white.
True. But he does do a big mix of different cultures, people of color, different...
he was not into Paula Patton.
Well, yeah, because her boyfriend just died. I just mean that in the way that he casts and in the places that they go. Like, it's not like it's all, you know, Paris and London. It's like they go all over the world, and I love that. Now,
he's been visiting London a lot, though.
He has been visiting London a lot.
Films.
And I think it's what you said. It's like, do they just have these outfits ready for the Congo? And it's like, yeah, like where are they getting their garbs and garments from?
I felt like, okay, so here's my, having not had real time to fully flesh this out. There are a few things. One, I really liked that the film had a lot of focus on like the female characters, and not just Agent Peggy Carter. We'll get to her because I have a huge issue with her as a character.
Yeah.
But like in all of his exposure to these various branches of the military, it's like we have a black female president played by Angela Bassett. She also has, people in her Secret Service, like people that were stationed in military postings, even the pilots. Like, one thing that I noticed was that they did not shy away from having like strong female characters that were not central to like the plot of Agent Peggy Carter and Ethan Hunt. I don't remember her name. My other thing is like, okay, having gone on a franchise rewatch and forgetting about what Dead Reckoning was about, I was going into this film hoping that it would bring me around when it came to the seventh film, Dead Reckoning. It did not do that, unfortunately, because, Ethan Hunt falls in love with women at first sight for no apparent reason that's understandable to me.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he falls in love with what I assume is he forms this emotional attachment to what is the most annoying character that I think has entered this franchise, because she spends the entire seventh movie basically trying to avoid him, escape him.
I don't consider them falling in love. I mean, I consider it something different than that, because we never see them romantic together. They don't go off into the sunset together. They go their separate ways at the end. It's like they have some emotional bond, but that's not quite falling in love.
But I feel like the implications are that like there is an emotional trust and intimacy that I don't understand where it originates from, because she spends the entire seventh movie being, again, very annoying, but he's really invested in like her well-being and safety for some reason. Again, this is Ethan Hunt, but I'm like, I'm not invested. Whereas I feel like the Ilsa storyline really they do a really good job of kind of slowly building that up into what I feel is like a believable friendship and trust in each other.
But they did fall in love. But I didn't consider what him and this other girl, Grace, I don't remember
Oh my God, yes, that is her name. And I definitely think that that was the implication.
I think that it's implied if you don't look at it deeper. I'm thinking it's the end of the world. Like that there's some other emotional, I think there is an emotional bond, but I wouldn't say falling in love. I think he only loved Julia and he only loved Ilsa. And he has an attachment to Grace, but he's not in love with her.
And I don't understand that attachment.
Yeah.
I also find like, so this idea of the entity that they bring up in the seventh movie, which carries on in this film, is just like, it's too woo-woo for me.
It's a little cerebral for sure.
It's just like,
but I appreciate them trying to find like something rooted in current issues like AI to try to create a villain. Now, but I agree, it is very hard. I'm like, I'm not getting it.
And I'm not, and it's harder to buy the motivation, because like part of what made Solomon Lane so intriguing is that this is still a person, right? Like he creates an organization, but he's still a person who has motivations. I can't get behind the motivations of a supercomputer to just like, I want to kill everybody. Like, okay, that's harder for me to feel.
It reminds me of Ultron.
Okay, I think if we were going to talk about Ultron, I feel like the differentiation for me is that like in the seventh film, the entity, first of all, I'm pissed that I even have to fucking describe this villain as the entity. But in the seventh film, the entity doesn't speak for himself. He's spoken of through Gabriel in what Gabriel is doing, again, very convoluted, because it's just like, why doesn't anyone just kill Ethan? Why do they do this whole thing where they're like, we're going to torture Ethan. We're going to make him go through 5,000 hoops to arrive at this depressing decision. Whatever. So you don't really, like, Ultron speaks, has like a personality, has like, his motivations might be similar in that he's like, you know, mankind is trash, but like, you can almost kind of like at least acknowledge that he's evolving and like thinking for himself. The entity is like this obscure thought in some ways, where it's like, I'm just, in the 8th film, it does, Ethan gets inside of a box and like puts on like a thing, and like the entity shows him stuff, and it's just like, okay, but I just, it was harder for me to, I guess, invest in like the motivations of this villain. And then like you have Gabriel, who's acting as like a side villain, where his motivation is that because he's screwed up by not getting the key in the 7th film, his motivation is now like, okay, well, I still need to I need to control the entity rather than work with the entity.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, whatever. It was you know, it's not my favorite, but I don't go to Mission Impossible because I'm like, I need a story that makes sense and is realistic. Like, that's not what I'm doing. I go because like the action is good. There were a lot of hilarious moments. I LOL'd a lot.
Yeah,
in this film.
I don't know if they were trying to be funny, but it was funny.
It was really Tom Cruise.
He looks
climbing
great,
on
by the
planes and punching people like in the air was just LOL.
So true.
Riotous. It also was funny because they like show up in South Africa, like in this coordinated khaki canvas military garb.
So
I'm like, do you think they stopped at the Banana Republic before they like hopped into this mission? So,
Gabriel was a really funny character who had really funny moments too. Like thinking back on him. So, but he also, you're right. Like he was an interesting in a bad way villain. Like, again, understanding his motivation. I mean, I guess it's the age-old money, power, control motivation. I did like that they talked about the compounding interest of Tom Cruise's want to save one life over. So every time he saved one life, and that over, you know, 100 million, the next time he had to save one life over 200 million, and now it's the whole entire world. I was like, that is so, the way that they phrased that, I was like, brilliant and true.
Yeah.
And overall, I thought it was a really good, I mean, you basically see every character from all of the films other than Tandy Newton and Doug Ray Scott come back for their big one.
Yeah.
And
oh my God, that was a great surprise in the movie, is that the
spoiler
guy...
alert.
Yeah, the guy from the first Mission Impossible, who they're like, we're breaking into the CIA black box.
That was the spoiler I saw on TikTok. I had stayed away from spoilers, but I saw that one, that he was in the film. And I was like, okay.
How dare
it didn't ruin it for me, but I was like, oh, man. But
it did give it this feeling of, like the way that they started the film with kind of like scenes from the previous movies. The fact that they were bringing back a lot of characters. They even somehow tied in one of the agents to the first film, being like Phelps's son. So it's like, I feel like they were doing a lot to basically like indicate and signal that this is really the final chapter. Even though it was Final Reckoning, it kind of started to feel like it's the last one. It's the final installment.
Tom Cruise is pretty old.
Yeah.
It was funny when they were talking about that being Phelps' son. I was like, how is he older than Tom Cruise? I'm like, oh, I guess it was before he was recruited. But overall, really great film. And now it's time to rewatch all 8 in a row, including number 1. Figure out number 3. I like how they brought the plot back to number 3. Everything is always in the nick of time. I'm like, can we have one movie where we have 30 seconds to spare maybe? Like, that'd be kind of cool. So overall, really liked it because it was action. It was, you know, it moved at a good pace. Like, things were happening. And TC, really just love Tom Cruise. I don't care about the couch jumping or the Scientology. First of all, so many people have such good things to say about him as a person and an individual. I would die to be on his cake list or whatever that list of desserts he sends out to people. I'm adding that to my 300 list, actually, to somehow get on Tom Cruise's cake pastry distro list. So
a girl can dream.
A girl can dream. You know, I always say I'm a millionaire. I'm just one day away from being a millionaire. So I could just be 2 days away from being on Tom Cruise's dessert list.
Yeah. I think the other thing that, like, when I think about the Ilsa Faust story, so, like, because I've rewatched these films recently, and I watch Rogue Nation, which, again, is just so effing good. So effing good. But, like, Rogue Nation, she's an agent. He obviously, like, as someone who's been betrayed over and over again, I think that they can connect at that level where it's like she's being betrayed by her country. Like, that's where their connection comes from, in addition to the fact that she meets the criteria of his interest. And then you get to the sixth film, and, like, what I enjoyed about how they handled her character is that she is involved, but she's not central. Like, the other characters are still a lot more, like, there's a lot more action happening around Henry Cavill. And so I guess for me, I'm like, why was it necessary to remove her from the, like, cast of characters in the seventh and the eighth, the seventh and the eighth
Maybe she's doing
film?
a TV show.
Why did they have to introduce this brand new character? And then it's like, okay, well, I guess the central the saving moment of this film is that you need someone with quick hands. Like, I'm just like, okay. But I don't know. It was frustrating to me because every time there was a scene where Ethan and Grace were like, you're the only one that can do it. You're the only one that I trust. I'm thinking to myself, like, you people fucking met 3 minutes ago.
Well,
like,
no, it makes sense why she trusts Ethan. I mean, he's like what he's done. Track record, like.
Yeah, I mean, but she literally spends all of the seventh film except for maybe the last heist of this. Well, don't get me started on that train thing, but the last moments of that train sequence, pretty much evading him, avoiding him. It's not until Ilsa dies that she's like, gee, sorry, like, I guess that's my bad, and then, like, is like, okay, I'll go along with this plan and I'll wear this mask to be
right. I don't remember the seventh film, but I bits and pieces. But
I
need to rewatch it.
I really like that Kittredge was brought back for the seventh and eighth film.
I remember him in the seventh film. I love that he's in the eighth film. I love when they did the re-review of all the things that Ethan Hunt has done, and they're like, that was 2 months ago. Like, that was so funny.
And that's exactly it. If that was 2 months ago, that's how long Ethan and Grace have been in each other's lives.
Well, they keep showing up.
And Grace has somehow, in that span of time, gone from pickpocket to somewhat decent agent. And I'm just like, okay, again, I'm not coming to Mission Impossible because I'm like, I need it to be believable, but it's just like, okay, I as an audience member who, like, really found comfort in the cast of characters that have been coming back over and over again, I was really upset with that decision. I also thought it was really funny when they were in that fight, when they were breaking out Paris, and they just, like, are pulling off their mask.
Yeah.
Like, that was another moment hilarious. In the movie where I was just,
we were
like,
the only ones in the theater that
screaming, laughing. I'm like,
it was Silly City. What I really realized I enjoyed about the films the last few times that I watched them on the plane and in this movie is that they don't have the captain complex where they're like, we don't kill people. We just blast them in the chest with a kick and into the ocean, but we don't kill people. They're like, no, we kill the villains. And I was like, I actually really enjoy that they don't have that whole stupid plot line of, like, we don't want to kill anyone, even the bad guys. Like, no, we're killing everybody. Well, except for the good guys, maybe, So
yeah, it's the worst.
Watching the United States government in this film talk about, we got to sacrifice one of our own shitties. I was like, that's freaking insane. Like, also, I was thinking, like, Okay, when they put it like kill 100 million to save 7 billion, maybe, but I'm like, I don't want to live in some nuclear wasteland anyways. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, you're gonna blast the rest of the world and then it's just us on an island. I'm like, personally, as a citizen of this world, I'm like, what's the point? I don't want to sit on this rock with the rest of these bozos.
Yeah.
If I can't go over to Europe and Afrique, you know, then don't even bother, you know. And again, I don't want to live in a nuclear wasteland. So just let the entity do its thing then. At that point, like, no need.
That was another comment that we talked about where it was like the president played by Angela Bassett. First of all, a man could never have the restraint of tongue and pen to not immediately issue that order to just blast away because they just love to fucking go in blasting, you know? It's like, but Angela Bassett, you know, strategically moving all of her battleships, literally and figuratively, was like, all right, give me the nuclear codes. And then, like, they open the case for the button and she's like,
no thanks.
Close it.
I'm a big fan in this 2025 post-election era of Tom Cruise having a black woman president sitting there. He said, this is what it could have been.
Yep.
Instead, you do got the ass blaster sitting there, you know, ready to go in and start. So, and you like know, let's hope the entity doesn't do its thing.
Yeah. The woman on the submarine who saved Tom in that fight too, like again, it's like it was as a female viewer, it was like very apparent and nice for me to see that they didn't put the, you know, a lot of, I think Gina Davis works on this, where it's like a lot of movies will cast predominantly male, even as extras, like they're heavily male, and so for like as I was watching this, like to see that. Like they were really brought out from like any of the extra pieces to like kind of having talking roles to being in positions where like oftentimes we would see a movie like a Transformers or you know some type of other action film and it would probably be male pilots that are doing like this drop of him into this ocean. So it was like
I also felt that way about the black characters. They were in leadership roles. They weren't like, you know, side characters doing, you know, just but they were all like, you know, just normally dispersed as we are in life. So that was really cool too.
So I don't know how much Tom Cruise has to do with any of those decisions.
I'm giving him all the credit.
But I am giving him all the credit. Yeah,
100%. Him and Christopher McQuarrie, who directed and was also produced it. So those two, now I'm watching out for you. I can't wait to see what TC does next now that he's wrapped up Mission Impossible.
It made me, so I'm not a Top Gun fan because
I love Top Gun.
Don't care,
So
but I was like, maybe I should watch Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick.
You should. Have you seen him before?
I've seen Top Gun before.
Because Top Gun Maverick is good. It does have the emotional element, but again, I like an action movie.
See, I don't like the emotional element, and I also don't love like military-centered films.
Yeah, well, also you don't like Miles Teller, so he's
Why
kind
do
of
you know that?
Because you've said it before.
Related to what? What else
maybe
was he in that I was like...
we were talking about Top Gun, or we were talking about that movie he did with Anya Taylor-Joy. He's in a lot of stuff. Spectacular Now, Divergent. He was in that movie with Anya Taylor-Joy. He was in Taylor Swift's I Bet You Think About Me music video.
You know, I don't even know if I've seen enough of this person to have like a strong opinion about like I'm never seeing a movie with him because all of those things He
was in Top Gun Maverick.
Maybe it's that I just don't see him as a leading man.
Yeah,
for me.
In Top Gun Maverick, he does his big one. I'm gonna say it. You know, like I seen when he was in Fantastic Four, I was like, oh, he's Stretch, and I was kind of like, yeah, that series didn't blow up, and I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have seen him do it.
Is that his name? I thought his name was like
Doctor something.
Mr. Fabulous.
Mr. Fantastic.
That's it.
Mr. Whatever.
Fabulous.
Mr. Fabulous.
Mr. Fantastic.
The point is, he stretches. But he, if that had multiple iterations like they wanted it to, he was not. I mean, it was a good movie, but he was not. The character was not giving leading man to me.
Gotcha.
It was giving soy boy beta cuck. So,
well, I didn't know this about Fantastic Four because like whatever, but somehow on my timeline, there's this video I've seen where people are asking like which character would like defeat, and apparently Mr. Fantastic is like supposedly like one of the smartest characters in all of comics.
He's like he's the one that gets them up to space and not to be blasted, but you know, to do other stuff, and then they get space blasted. He does a bunch of he's really smart, but
I don't even remember that he's smart.
I don't want to stretch, okay? Like you're not making me Gumby up in this bitch, all right? So no, that's just not a cool a cool power to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to
No.
over to the door. That's insane.
No, I need to Jean Grey, Magneto. I got to do some type of
something
fucking
else
mind
other than
movement.
like just like body bending. Like, that's not hot.
I'm interested to see what Tom Cruise does next, and I might watch Top Gun Maverick just because I'll be in a little TC withdrawal, but a movie that we had talked about recently that also has a sequel out in theaters was The Accountant.
Yeah.
You said that I would like it. So I do remember seeing this film. I decided, my husband and I, during our date night, watched it. That's an insane film.
You don't love insanity aside, you don't like it?
It was entertaining for sure.
I like roller coaster film. I can suspend reality and say, okay, like I like a good story to be told. Like,
it was insane, but it was I would like, it's definitely an enjoyable time. It was funny because as soon as John Lithgow came onto the screen, I was like, oh yeah, I don't know how, he's definitely a bad guy.
He's always a bad guy.
He's going to be a bad guy. Ever since he played Trinity Killer on Dexter, I'm like, that man is evil.
That was like one of the best performances I think anyone has ever had in any sort of recorded thing ever.
It was
so good. Do you remember Third Rock from the Sun?
I remember that was a show. Yeah.
He's amazing.
But yeah, that movie was another action film where I was laughing as I was watching it because at some point when they reach the climax of this film, first of all, this man is using an anti-aircraft gun to shoot everyone in this house.
Oh, yeah.
And single-handedly taking out this entire army of people. And John Barenthal's character, is just like watching it, and he's like, "Look, I'm gonna go talk to this man real quick." It's like, "Oh, that's my brother," and they're like having this whole reunion, and John Lithgow is like, "What is this?"
So funny, so funny.
So I was like, maybe I do need to see The Accountant too, because first of all, John Barenthal, I'm buying it.
I would love to see The Accountant too. I love Ben Affleck, as you know. I just really like Ben Affleck.
We've covered that.
So, cool.
Anywho, if you are a fan of Mission Impossible, I love the idea of doing a 1 through 8 rewatch at some point when that's possible. Awesome. I've done 1, 4, 5, 6 repeatedly.
That's the right order. 3 is also pretty good because that's Philip Seymour Hoffman, but it's just, I think because it follows 2, you just think, because 2 was a joke. I'm gonna be honest. Like, that was
so bad.
That was comedy. That like you kind of feel, because 2 is what sequels always were back then, right? It's like, okay, the first movie did so good. We weren't actually trying to make a good second movie. We were just trying to entice people. Just, again, a paycheck for everybody. I feel like in my head, Marvel really changed the way sequels went, where they really invest a lot into making really good dynamic, I don't even know, septuages. However many films there are. Yeah. And so I feel like 2 was following the thread of the same with Too Fast, Too Furious. That became iconic because it was a joke. And then that did well enough that they continued down the line.
And then they did Tokyo Drift, which isn't even in the same timeline scheme at some point. It's like,
and then they said, let's bring it all back.
Confuse me. Like, because
they weren't confused. They didn't go into it with a plan. They went into it with it's like when they always recast people for sequels because they're like, the first movie did good, but the people don't want to be in it because they know this is a joke. And so the third one I feel like gets lumped in with that John Woo film, which I also feel like has probably a time and a place. I need to rewatch it. But anyways, I do feel like we should rewatch all of them in order. Point A to point B. And actually, we probably should do the same thing with Fast and Furious.
I feel like when I think of the second film, I really think of it more of like Tom Cruise had some things that he was like dabbling in, like freehand mountain climbing and cliff climbing and like riding a motorcycle. And
New
he was
hairstyle.
Like, listen, I need a film that's going to showcase these.
Let's do it.
Wavy fringe I've got.
The bob.
And I want to be like climbing some rocks. So like, let's see how the insurance policy goes and go from there. But yeah, it was super cheesy. I would love to do it just because I enjoy anything Tom Cruise is in, honestly.
I really do.
Tropic Thunder came up and I was like, oh my God.
So good in that movie. First of all, that movie is so good in and of itself. But he's so... TC, I do feel like people are saying that he's like the last real movie star. I don't know about all that, but he is a bona fide certified movie star in my eyes. Sure. Like one of the greats.
Who Who else would you say is like up there, like in the same generation even?
Right now,
because like Robert Downey Jr. is also
sorry to lump you with your ex-husband, babes,
What?
but Nicole Kidman to me is a movie star
for sure. Kate Winslet,
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Now, people, I mean, it also depends. I feel like times have changed from like, you know, before it'd be like, this person's in a movie, you go to see it. I feel like that's totally different now. You know, we had the George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Leo DiCaprio era. I also felt like Sandra Bullock was getting up there in that as well. But I feel like that has really shifted. And who I would go see movie, Keanu Reeves. Absolutely. I feel like he's doing good films. TC. And I feel like that generation is kind of the last generation of like, now I feel like we have ones that are up and coming. I think Glenn Howerton can be one. I do not think Paul Mescal is going to be a movie star. I think that he doesn't have the charisma, personally. I don't feel that way about him. I like Paul Mescal, but Paul Mescal, whatever, however you say his name, well enough. But he does that annoying thing that celebrities do where they want the movie stardom, but they don't want to let you, but they'll say, oh, that's my personal life. I don't want to talk about that. Okay, that's fine, but like you won't be an A+ lister movie star. You have to have that element where you're drawing people into your fucking drama. I remember back in magazines, I was thinking about this randomly the other day when we were talking about our magazine thing, where people would talk about why they broke up with their ex-boyfriends. They don't do that now. You know, they say, we went our separate ways, and then the blind items do it for them. Whereas I feel like back in the day, the messiness is what drew people, like being, honestly, the parasocial relationships that you have with celebrities. Like I was obsessed with Hilary Duff, and that Joel Madden when he dated her when she was too young, but like talking about their relationship in a magazine, doing those things together, talking about why they broke up. That's what makes a movie star. So you got to be on, now today it's probably you have to be on TikTok. You have to let people into your personal life. I think Michael B. Jordan is definitely going to be the it guy. And I feel like that's all I can think about right now. What about you? Also Nicolas Cage. I'm sorry, I have to say I love Nick Cage. He's a movie star to me. In that generation.
Con Air was also an option. I was like, let me hold off on rewatching this fucking gem.
It's ridiculous.
So freaking ridiculous.
Also, Angelina Jolie.
I was thinking about that, like Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, and Jennifer Aniston, like the messiness of that relationship and how literally people were wearing Brad or team Angelina versus team Jennifer.
They just let us into that.
I mean, like, I don't think that they didn't need to explicitly say anything, but like they clearly weren't interested in hiding it or trying to deny it. So, you know, it's just like, that's the level of psychoticness that we need to be able to engage in to really be invested in, like,
for sure. And they definitely didn't actually have to do that because they were already bona fide stars. Like, but they did, and I mean that really propelled them. First of all, Mr. and Mrs. Smith is actually a really good movie too. So I'm like, at least they didn't do all that for a crap film, a Gigli style film.
As far as movie stars, it's like the generation where like the George Clooney's, the Julia Roberts, even like no. She wasn't. I was going to say Catherine Zeta-Jones.
No,
Kiki.
she wasn't.
But that's because I was thinking of America's Sweetheart.
I like Catherine Zeta-Jones, but she wasn't a movie star.
She's not a movie star. But like, I think there's also like different types. There's like the Daniel Day-Lewis type where that's a serious actor.
It's a little too much.
Yeah, like that's a serious actor. He's a star in his own right, but he's not.
He's like one of the greats, but he's not like.
He's not giving us the range.
$300 million budget films.
No, he's not doing that.
He's doing the indie boho. I did it for free just so I could test myself.
Like I'm doing it for the art and the craft. Okay. But it is hard to think. So what I was thinking about with like our like the current generation of celebrity is that one of the issues is that a lot of the current movie actors and actresses, I do think, struggle with trying to tell themselves that it's not because of their parents that they're involved in Hollywood or that they're involved. And it's like, that, first of all, that's not new. A lot of celebrities are involved in Hollywood because their mom was in a Hitchcock film, you know, like, or their, you know, family legacy. I mean, Nicolas Cage is a great example too, where it's like he's related to
He's a Coppola and he chose to be a Cage.
So it's
interesting.
Like Nepo babies in Hollywood is not new, but I feel like the current generation is, instead of like just hunkering down and like, like first of all, like a lot, like, I'm obviously here because I grew up in this environment and because I have access that a lot of other people don't, but I also can actually act, or, you know, this is what I enjoy doing, and just owning it. They want to act like no, I go to 2 acting classes a week.
My
and
dad cut me off, and my mom, Melanie Griffith, had to support me instead. Like, Dakota Johnson, stop trying to be relatable. First of all, I don't want to relate to you. You're not relatable, and I don't want to relate to you, you know? And so, yeah, I totally agree. Like, you can still be talented and not get to where you've gotten on your own, solely on your own merit.
Yeah.
Like, no, like, but they do have this thing where they, like, I don't know what it is, but they really need to let it go because no one's buying it, no one cares, and just move on.
It's not changing it. First of all, it's like Jennifer Aniston also, it's like, that's a great example of someone who clearly had a leg up and an advantage to get the role, one of her most famous roles on Friends. You just keep doing it, and eventually we'll fucking all move on and get over it and
like,
talk about something else.
About it.
Yeah.
Why are you talking about it all the time? I wouldn't even allow that to be an interview question. I would just be like, okay. Plus, we love legacies, you know? It makes it more interesting when your family's a part of it. Like, I'm sorry, Dakota Johnson, if you were a random person on the scene, I wouldn't care about you. I care that because Antonio Banderas raised you. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. Like, that's interesting to me. Like, I don't care if you were talented or not, which I feel like
you're not.
I'm not really following you.
No.
You know, whatever. Body's hot though. So, you know, but I feel like it's mostly interesting because of who your parents are. Like,
yeah.
But she just recently did an interview where she's like, and then when I said I wasn't going to college, my dad cut me off, and you know, there was times I had to go to the grocery store and ask my mom to pay for my groceries. Your mom, Melanie Griffith. Like, I'm sorry, like, what are we talking about here? Like, were you this close to homelessness because your dad cut you off? Like, what are we really talking about here? Like,
no.
you know, just like unrelatable, but sort of semi-relatable. I was talking to one of my really good friends, and she was like, and you know, you totally supported yourself through college and you did all these things. I was like, well, I had a support system, you know, like I took out student loans and paid for my college, but like when I ran into some financial troubles, I did have my mom to call and say, hey mom, can you help me pay my rent this month? Or mom, can you help me do X, Y, and Z? So like I supported myself, but like I had a support system. And she's like, oh, for some reason I thought like you kind of just did it all on your own. I was like, no, like even in paying the majority of my college, I still had a support system. Like that doesn't make it less great that I, you know, have done things because I had the support and that I did have the opportunity to call someone and say, hey, I really need help this month, you know, like, so I feel like I don't understand why they're so just attached to, no one helped me. Oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, would I care about this person's TikTok if her grandfather or father, I don't know what they're wasn't Martin Scorsese and they were talking about films? No, I don't care what she thinks about films. I want to know what he's doing. He's a funny guy. So it's like, take full advantage of your relationships that we are already connected to and tap into them, because I'm not connected to you as their child. I'm connected to your parents for their stardom over the past 40 years. We don't love you for you.
Yeah. We love you for who you know. And you just need to move on, get over it, and accept it for what it is.
So in that regard, I think it's hard. One, it's hard because I think a lot of the celebrities look alike. I feel like you mentioned Anya Taylor-Joy. I'm like, I don't even remember I just know she has big eyes and she was in that movie. Is that helpful?
The Queen's Gambit in that show with the chess.
Was she also in the new Mad Max?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, but like, again, I'm like, these people are not notable enough to me because one, I think their careers are also very young. Yes. Two, I think that a lot of them are very replaceable. Like they're all very interchangeable. Miles Teller and probably Paul Mescal. I'm like, those could be the same freaking dudes to me. I know that they look different to other people, but I'm like, their range is probably the exact same.
Well, that is a really good point because I feel like there's a lot of young talent that's like, and honestly, with all the fillers and the veneers, everyone does look the same, you know? So like, Elle Fanning, I don't think she has veneers, but like Elle Fanning and Anya Taylor-Joy, like I feel like are equally yoked, as they say, you know? Like for one or the other in a film is like, not to say that like, I mean, they're both really talented, like they can both carry a film, so like who cares, you know? Yeah. So I totally agree with that. Like everyone does feel like pretty interesting, versus I don't feel like, I'm sorry, TC for me, he has a lot of draw. Like I will go see a TC movie pretty much always.
Yeah,
and
just because he's in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, very cool.
Get on my knees, pray, I'm trying to find another way. I gotta get up out this jungle, niggas killing just to eat. Them lies ain't playing fair, so it's been getting I don't give my heart away. This shit hurt me every day.
Talk really quickly about something that the news just released, that Taylor Swift purchased all of her original masters. Finally.
Whatever that means.
So quick background for anyone that doesn't know you
or care.
All of the Taylor's versions that got released were her re-recording her original albums now because she wrote all of her own music, she can do that and own them basically. Like, so she, as a writer, she's able to do whatever she wants essentially and re-record them and own that catalog. But she wasn't able to own the ones that she originally recorded because they wouldn't sell them to her. They tried to get her into this, like, I'm going to call it indentured servitude contract when her contract was up, where they said, for every album you record for us, we'll give you one of your old albums. So that's a cycle that no one wants to be a part of. So,
wait. So she wrote, so basically like from her earliest, like all of her songs, she's written all of her songs.
Yes.
And so like she's under like this music collective or recording agency,
recording
right?
Contract, yeah.
Okay. So she's going back and repurchasing these songs that she wrote?
The actual album. So for her first 5 albums, she wrote and recorded them.
She has released more than 5 albums?
She's like 11, 10.
And she's just recreating.
She has even more.
She's recreating these albums.
She has even more because she's recreated them. So her first 5 that she recorded as a new person on the scene.
Okay. When she was a country singer.
So country for the first 2, then she did Red, then 1989, then Reputation.
Okay.
So,
okay.
And so it's debut, her original self-titled, and then Speak Now, and then the other 3 I just named.
He wears short shirts.
That's Fearless. Oh yeah, Fearless is on there too. So maybe it's the first 6. So of those albums, when they went to go be sold, so when her contract was finally up, and they said, we'll give you these albums to own as your own, but you have to record for every new album you create for us. And she said, absolutely not. And so she went and did a different record deal. Well, now she owns all of her albums outright under this new deal. And when they went to go sell those albums, they wouldn't sell them to her. So they sold them for $300 million to somebody else. I'm not going to get into all of the lore. And so they didn't allow her to purchase them. So what she did instead, thanks to Kelly Clarkson, actually, Kelly Clarkson gave her the idea.
Love her, by the way.
Yeah, she's like, hey, you wrote all the songs. Why don't you just re-record them and do something to entice people to listen to them instead? And that's why she releases her vault tracks now. So she re-recorded all of the original content and then gave us like maybe 5 new songs at the end of it. And so that's what she was doing. She has 2 left that she needed to re-record. But just this past week, they resold all of her masters, is what they call them, and she was able to purchase them for $360 million. And she basically released a statement and was like, yeah, everyone's been waiting for Reputation Taylor's version, which is all the Taylor's versions are her re-records, including me. That's my favorite album of hers. And she's like, I haven't even recorded a quarter of it. Because people are always clowning, like, it's coming out on May 26th. She's about to re-release it. She's like, I haven't even recorded 25% of that album because that's the album she wrote as her first love album for her ex, Joe Alwyn. So I'm sure, who wants to fucking record that? Revisit all the feelings you felt when you were falling in love with this person? No, thank you. But yeah, so she has been re-releasing new music and these other re-records in tandem. So
okay.
Anyways, it's really big news in the Swiftie community because as she's released her Taylor's version, people have not been listening to the old albums, kind of devaluing them.
Yeah.
And iHeartRadio had come out and said that they weren't going to play the old albums as she released them. So everyone's like, now I can listen to the original 1989. I personally was sometimes listening to the original one because she still is the writer on those. She's still making money from them, you know? And she had said all along, she's like, I'm doing this for me to own my catalog, not like anyone can do what they want. So sometimes the original song was better. So I'm like, but I do like her vault tracks, and I do hope we still get Reputation vault tracks.
How interesting. I was thinking about how much I think we as a Black community love Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah, she's got soul.
Yeah.
She really sings with soul. I think what's interesting about it is that, like, they have her re-recording her albums has changed the music industry contracts, and now they're trying to stipulate that people can't do that, essentially, when they write these horrible contracts for people that basically put them into, like, that they can never own their music, and now they're trying to also stipulate that you can't then go re-record them as well. So
interesting.
Yeah, a little bit.
You can't re-record them.
Yeah, no one had ever done that before in the sense of like redoing an album from start to finish as it was already written and done. Like, so
that's pretty genius.
It's pretty genius. Kelly Clarkson, big ups to you, and big ups to Taylor Swift for also doing the vault tracks. That really does entice us to go and listen to.
Us.
Well, yeah, us Swifties, us fans.
Yeah, that's cool. Good for her.
Cool. Very good for her. And a $360 million bargain.
Yeah.
That's the mindset
it's just
you
like,
gotta have
it's
in
just
life.
like, one less trip on your private jet that year.
Yeah, exactly. One, deal with Disney to throw 1989 Stadium Tour up on there. You'll make it back quick, girlfriend. So
I don't even want to get into the blind items I was, avoiding on Taylor Swift. I ended up in a Priyanka Chopra, one of the Jonas. I forget
Nick.
if it's Nick or Joe. Okay,
It's Nick.
Nick. Joe
was married to the Queen of the North.
Arias, no. Sansa.
And they got
She's not the
divorced.
Queen of the North.
Okay, what is she?
Lady of the... Did they use the word queen? You know what? I don't acknowledge her because she's not written as that.
No, the point is he was married to her. Ooh, they had a really contentious divorce recently. But anyways, okay, Nick and Priyanka.
Anyways, I was in the blind items about basically like...
the TikTok blind items?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
remember when you said, what's a blind item?
Yeah.
Now you're understanding.
I get it now because I was in a real rabbit hole on like the Priyanka, Nick Jonas aspect of like celebrity. And that's getting back to what we were talking about where it's like, even if it's fake, you give it all to us. Let us eat it up, whatever, allegedly, But when you decide that you're going to put your wedding in Vogue or People Magazine, give us access to all the pictures. Like, let us in. Don't try to have your secret little life. You can do that, but I'm not going to care about you.
It's toxic, but I completely agree. I'm like, no, pap walk it out, do ridiculous crap.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, get Tiffany to be part of the engagement ring,
right.
And that's where you're registered. I want to know where you're registered at. Like that.
I want to when Sansa Stark IRL and her and Joe broke up. Taylor Swift let her live in her apartment, and she's talking about. She's like, Taylor really saved me. She let me come stay in her apartment. Mind you, this millionaire, right? She let me stay for free in her apartment. I'm like, okay, that is the type of shit we need to be knowing about. Like that Taylor, because Taylor and Joe Jonas are ex-boyfriend and girlfriend from years ago. Her Fearless album, she wrote a lot of songs about him. So it's like,
don't say that like I know it.
No, but that's what makes it so interesting. So it's like, oh my gosh, this drama that's kind of lived on because as she's re-released her Taylor's Versions music, we're reliving her relationships that these albums were written off of. So she had re-released that, so now this drama's living on, and now he's getting a divorce, and she's letting his future ex-wife live in her apartment. I'm like, that's the tea we need. We're getting it. So that type of stuff. So I completely agree. We need the real celebrity is what you're doing, not in the movies and the music.
Yes.
It's what you're doing on the streets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. That's funny.
It is funny. Okay. Send me some of those blind items. It's the end of May today. So that means my 1 hour TikTok ban, or what do you call it? Boundary.
I call it nothing because you did this to yourself. This was entirely self-inflicted.
It's over and we did it. Now, I also did I want to say I had
a 28-day challenge.
It was, we'll call it a 28-day challenge. I mean, technically it was supposed to be the whole month of May. I did miss 2 days of getting poochy of posting on TikTok, and I didn't do it yesterday because, I don't know, sometimes I don't have an idea, guys, okay?
Well, I wanted to do a TikTok about us seeing Mission Impossible, but I knew we were going to talk about it, so I was like, I have nothing else interesting going on in my life.
It ended off at 9. Like, what the heck? It's bedtime. So,
congratulations. I, first of all, am really proud of you for committing and doing the TikTok video and upload regularly. It was motivating, honestly.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely going to keep it going. I gained no followers. No, I gained maybe 4 followers in this whole thing. And I don't have that many, but that's okay. It was fun anyways. It's very fun to point, click, shoot. I don't do any edits. Mm-hmm. I got a lot more comfortable being in front of the camera. I got a lot more comfortable with who cares if that's the best angle. Yeah. I recorded a whole thing. I'm like, my hair looks like shit. We'll just put a little, blurb over that part of my hair that doesn't look good. Whatever. So it was really fun. And it is fun sharing things the one I shared recently about me coughing and Bean always running out of the room. I feel like I've been wanting to talk about that for so long because it's actually diabolical the way this dog plays my ass. I will be walking him and I have a tickle in my throat and I'll go, He looks at me so dirty. I'm like, okay, like, sorry. God forbid a girl have allergies. Like, he's just anticipating, like, me disturbing his peace. And so I finally was like, you know, I try not to bother my dogs on purpose. Like, I don't, you know, people that, like, I don't know. I guess I play with them maybe, but, like, I don't annoy my dogs on purpose. And so I wouldn't normally cough on purpose to get him to react, but I did for this TikTok, and he did. So, he always does.
Right on cue.
So, anyways.
I agree about, like, the idea of maybe being, like, finding comfort in vlogging, sharing, talking, camera angle. Like, okay, what, you know, I think before you find, okay, this is my niche area, or, like, this is what this, you know, like, maybe I need a channel for this. That can come later. It's a matter of just, like, getting into the habit and forming it.
Yeah, and I what is interesting is that also I feel like the funniest ones I post, sometimes those aren't the ones that freaking take off. And, like, first of all, the Predator one I posted was hilarious. No one likes that video. And I'm like, no, that was, like, so funny. But also, there's a new Predator coming out.
First of all, you added, I whip my hand.
It's so funny. I'm like, dude, people are missing out because this is, I actually do really think about that a lot. Like, okay, sassafras over here.
Chill out.
And then I was thinking about how we saw preview.
That looked good.
For the new Predator. It did look good, and Elle Fanning's in it. I think it was Elle Fanning, yeah.
Again, these people look the same to me.
Something about them, like...
Is Elle Fanning related to...
She is. She's her sister. There is something about...
What is her name?
Dakota Fanning.
I was like, Dakota Johnson.
No.
It's not the same person.
I just connected that they have the same name.
Why are there
two Dakotas? What are you, America? North and South? I also just connected that. I was like, I didn't realize. There's something about, like, I feel like we're going to get tricked in the fact that Elle Fanning's in this movie because she is a very good, semi-serious actress. Like, she's really good. And so I'm like, oh, if she's signed on for it, like, it's probably a good plot, but I'm like, no, you're tricking me. And I bet she dies right at the beginning or something, and I come to see this movie for Elle Fanning, and it's like...
No, I mean, they put Adrian Brody in Predators.
That was good.
And he's, but
actually, I mean, it was ridiculous. That was a good movie.
Yeah,
but Predator
he's a serious actor.
Looking. I don't like seeing Predator without their face mask on. I'm like, ew.
Pussy face.
Get your little...
Did I ever tell you that I found out that the reason that they have mandibles...
Jowls? Oh, okay.
Mandibles is because James Cameron had told the creator, like, I've always wanted to see a creature with mandibles. So, like, they added that.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
James Cameron, chill out.
Brilliant man.
Now we have to look at pussy face.
I know.
Only bears I'm chasing, trying to get my pocket stupid fat. Had slide him out like a snake if he a fucking rat. Nigga think I'm stopping, got the nitro in the head. Can't have my youngin' wife and nose blow, and he screaming slant. Boy, we know you snitch, we see your name out through the work. Feds ain't stopping shit, you was nothing but a clerk. Still serving fiends for the Lord, they go berserk. And I might have been the one that put your partner on the shirt. Kinda miss my semi.
We have a few things. Let's do a rapid fire session. First, Coke taste test. You want to talk about that?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to do a Coke taste test. There we go. And I think we're going to film that for our YouTube channel specifically.
Yeah.
To see, I think our plan right now is to do Coke, Diet Coke, Coke Zero, Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, and then maybe the cherries of each of them. Okay. And the goal is to see who can tell the difference between Coke and Diet Coke, but also Coke and Pepsi, to see if we can guess them right, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think we might kick off a series, we'll see, of other taste tests, because I'm a big fan of Hell's Kitchen and Gordon Ramsay in general. And one of the things they always do on that is a blind taste test every season to test the palate.
Yes.
And I've always thought about how expensive that would be. Like, I can't just be going to buy a varietal of items to see how good my palate is.
No.
But I feel like we should do that. But that would also require, I think, our producer to be the person that, because I feel like if I know the thing about the blind taste test on Hell's Kitchen is it could be literally any ingredient ever, right? Mm-hmm. Like celery, water chestnuts, a chia seed, a filet mignon piece.
From a ribeye.
Yes. Whereas I feel like if I go buy 5 things from the store, I'll know it's one of those 5 things. So it has to be completely blind. And so I feel like that'd be really fun. We could do that.
I think that will be fun. And I think we should include, like, predictions. Like, who do we think is going to do better? I think we're both selfish enough to say that we
Both. We think we have superior palates. Now, the other day I was at Indian food with one of my friends, and she ordered a butter chicken, and I ordered a chicken korma. And when they came out, they were in very similar. I mean, it's like a curry sauce, right? So they looked the exact same. And I had never ordered chicken korma before. I was really excited to taste it because it has like a nut base to it, I think, like cashews and extra onions and stuff. So I was like, effervescent. And so I'm eating it and I'm like, dude, this tastes just like the same as butter chicken, which makes sense. They're in the same sauce. And then, she doesn't usually have Indian food. And so that's why we were trying it together. One of my recommendations. I was like, do you like it? She's like, yeah, I really like it. It's so good. And then I was like, oh, do you want to try mine? Because she had mentioned the chicken korma also sounded good. So we switch and I eat it and I'm like, immediately, this is a cashew. I could taste the cashew in the sauce. I was like, this is the chicken korma. No wonder it tastes what I was eating tastes just like butter chicken because it was butter chicken. Now I wasn't upset because it was delicious. So I might try that again. I'm going to Indian food tomorrow. So I'm going to try it. Anyways, yeah.
Who are you going with?
A gentleman.
Okay.
So anyways. That's based on that story, the fact that I picked up cashews immediately. I was like, I have a great palate, I think.
There's no way this is comfortable for you.
You're so cute.
There's no way that this is comfortable.
The look on his face is like, I just need to be close to mommy. Oh, he's a podcaster.
They need to be inside. They
Just
can't be
yours.
close enough.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we get into our weekly ins and outs?
Well, what the fuck? What's on this agenda?
Coke taste test, TikTok holes we covered, TikTok posting
What
for
is
all of
black on black crime thoughts?
I had a random thought this morning. I was thinking about the idea. I don't know where it popped up, but just the idea of black on black crime popped up. And I was like, that's actually was such an insane conversation point for anyone to even have. Like, if you all, as a culture, don't treat each other perfectly, then we can just kill you too. I'm like, that's actually literally so insane. Like not even like evil, but to the point of being like absolutely just a diabolical, crazy, out there talking point. Like, what? And then the fact that people were actually regurgitating it, I was like, dude, we really live in a post-apocalyptic, like a post-truth era, because that's actually unbelievably insane. That like, well, why can't we kill you? You kill each other. Like, what are we talking about right now? So that was just a random thought that popped up. I was like, I can't believe that was actually like a talking point that was taken seriously and regurgitated and talked about so often. But like, well, of course we're killing black people. They're killing each other. That's crazy. So,
yeah, don't focus on the few instances where a white person kills a black person, because you guys are doing it all the time.
So if you do it, why can't we do it? Like, it's like, oh, okay. So if you ever believed that or used that as a talking point, I don't think you're smart. I'm just going to throw it out there. And I think you might be mean. And that's putting it nicely. So that's what my random thought was this morning. I was just getting out of the shower. I was like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me.
I was thinking about that Jon Stewart interview where he's talking to someone who's trying to ban like drag show readings because, it's like harmful to children. And Jon Stewart is like, well, what do you think the leading cause of death is for children in this country? And the guy's like, well, I think you're going to say it's guns. And he's like, I'm not going to say that it's guns. That's what it is. Like, it's not some thought or feeling that I have.
Right.
That's what it is. And like, the idea that, all of these political talking points are not rooted in like what's actually causing harm or like focusing on identifying the true root cause of like what's causing harm, but on these like mythical beliefs that they like wrap these pretzels that people will wrap themselves into to like justify the fact that they really don't want to actually examine the true issue.
So true. Like the minute that we started to debate facts, we lost. we lost. There's nothing else. Like we're talking
alternative facts.
Like, okay, like my truth. No, like no. Anyways, okay. You want to get into our weekly ins and outs?
Let's do it.
Do you have some? What's your in this week?
Yeah, I haven't thought about that. I feel like I really need like some type of regularity and like telling me that I need to come up with a weekly in and a weekly out.
Okay. Well, I'll go. So next month is, hold on. Shh. Faith, Friendship, Feelings, and French month.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And I decided to get a head start. And I was like, I was on Reddit, and I'm on like a French subreddit, and they were talking about like, this person was basically asking what are good music, French artists to listen to help them learn French. And I found some. And so in for me this week is French electropop, because it's really fun and I actually really like it. And this artist that I've been listening to is Yell. And there's a few more that I need to, but one at a time. I can't get into too much, but I'm liking her stuff so far.
Cool.
Have you thought of one?
That's in for you?
That's in for me this week. French electropop.
Okay.
Some songs that I have. It's just her top songs on Spotify. So I'm not, really, diving deep into her discography. But Je veux te voir, Je t'aime encore, À cause de garçons, and Ce jeu. Really good.
Mm.
Okay.
Who do you plan to practice this French with?
I'm in a French meetup group. I don't know. I'm going to figure it out.
Okay.
I was also on Reddit today, and someone was talking about like what are the best ways to really go about learning French. And luckily it affirmed some of the things I was already planning on doing, like watching movies and things like that. I think speaking it's also, and then reading and out loud. So
okay.
I'm really excited.
When we went to the movie last night, there was a gentleman sitting in one of our seats.
Yes.
So we are like, that's our seat. Like, can you move? He says something to you.
Yeah.
I don't hear what he says, but I was asking you in French because he's obviously sitting right next to us. I'm like, what was his deal?
I couldn't figure out how to say chair. I went with chaise. Chaise. Even though that's really like house in French, but and then I said it's not proper, but I said je ne travaille pas. It wasn't working. He said, oh well, number 10. Oh sorry, no. He just said, oh, number 10 wasn't working. That's not my problem.
Such
talk
a
to the
weird
staff
thing.
member.
Like go.
Like
I was like, how is that?
I don't think he was asking me for help. I think he was just explaining why he was sitting in our seat. But like, that's not my problem.
I don't care. Move.
Don't emotionally dump on me right now. I have my own things going on.
What an insane idea that like your chair's not working, so you're just gonna take someone else's chair. This is assigned seating. This is not a free-for-all theater.
Go online. This is why men are useless. Go online, see what seat hasn't been purchased yet, and then move there. Go talk to the staff. Be like, can you move my seats?
This was 30 minutes before the film started.
We were there early. I'm like, what is this guy's deal? Get out of my chair. So then after we made a move, we weren't even actually, your husband was going to sit in that chair, but I'm like, well, now we've made a move, so now we have to sit here until he gets here because else, I don't want to talk to this man again. So, yeah. But yes, we tried to speak, you did. I'm not sure if you actually do say it right, but your confidence really speaks loudly. So I don't know. I have no proof that you're saying it right or wrong.
I said, qu'est-ce qu'il a dit?
Qu'est-ce qu'il a dit? Say.
What did he say?
Yeah. So
I feel like I understood what I was saying and you understood what I was saying because you tried responding.
It took me a second. Okay, do you have an in?
I like the idea of you practicing your French, and actually I benefit from it because if you practice with me, I don't have to actually be learning it, but I can enjoy the practicing.
You bitch.
In for me this week is the pool. I am committing to getting in my pool and trying to start my summer base coat.
I love it.
I'm a light-skinned mixed lady.
Yeah.
I'm a light-skinned mixed lady. And I'd like to be a medium-skinned mixed lady. I want to be closer to my sister's coat.
But you won't ever get there because I'll just keep increasing and you'll keep increasing. We'll always miss each other like ships passing in the night. So
you'll just keep the goalpost forever out of reach for me.
Yep.
I'll be the palette of my reference keeps changing. I could have sworn I was getting closer. Out for me this week. It's pretty much out for me every week. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm just tired. I'm tired. What I really want is I want a magical trust fund to find its way to me. I'm so tired of working. And maybe it's because like as summer starts to come, like I get that senioritis feeling.
Totally, I'm like summer vacation, and then I'm like, no, I have a freaking job. There is no summer vacation.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to be sitting at my desk. I want to be outside. I want to be doing things. I want to be hanging out with you. You live 5 minutes away from me. It's like I want to do anything but this. Like I just want to be vibing for the most part. And so I used to have a job where like I could be in my, there was a time where I used to live a great life. I would have my pool and I'd put on my speaker and I would have my iPad open to some Premier League sports match, and I would just be floating in my pool watching the soccer match, and I was just living the life, and I would be working. That was the life. Yeah. Now I work such a complex job that I actually need a monitor.
Like be at my desk. I'm so bad at laptop work. I think about this all the time. Like I would love to do, like sometimes you just have like admin stuff to do, and I'd love to do it like from my couch watching TV. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm like, I have 3 screens and I need them all at all times.
Yeah.
Like too small, can't do it, and the mouse don't work right. It's just too much. So
I was talking because I do try to give myself at least one day where I'm not at my desk, and so like I try to postpone or push all of what I call laptop work, which is usually like document review, like organizing my inbox and things like that. Like try to give myself pockets where I don't have to be at my desk and I can instead be like watching TV while I do some, other task that requires less monitor work. But yeah, that's out for me. Like the summer's coming. I want to be outside. I want to be vibing. I don't want to be at my desk. So for me, I'm feeling like because the weather's starting to get warmer, work has been out for me this week. I texted you like, man, I really just want to be like not working and instead hanging out.
Facts.
So we'll see if that changes.
Out for me this week is what I'm calling the lesser pores. And I thought about this because...
The what?
The lesser pores. The pores, but they're not as poor as the pores. So they think that they're, they're a little high on their bridges. The ones that are always like, wealth whispers. And it's like, how would you know? How would you know?
Because they can't hear it.
It don't even talk to you, okay? And I was thinking about this because I was thinking about how... I had told you this, that I'd seen on TikTok someone saying that people that buy designer sunglasses basically, and they still have the name of the designer in the corner of their frame, don't realize that like that's not a flex because you're supposed to get them to your prescription. So you should have like basically have them relensed your prescription. So I was thinking about this today randomly because I just have random thoughts pop into my head like most people, I think. And I was like, dude, that's so what I have perfect vision now. What? Like so you think that it's a sign that you're not as wealthy to really afford those sunglasses if you still have them, is what they were implying. It's like, I wear contacts and now what? Like, what are you saying that like I should be having done, that like you look down on me for still having it? I don't have perfect vision, by the way. I should probably get mine relensed because I don't wear contacts. But I was just thinking, I was like, dude, the lesser pores are so annoying. They're always coming up with these things that someone told them, and they're so much better and using it against the rest of us lesser pores that we really show that we're. I'm like, okay, so that's out for me this week.
Is the idea that they think that they can grift better than the rest of us that are like trying in their minds, where it's
they're
better
like
grifters?
This idea of like
they're tricking the rich people.
Some people are trying to look wealthy on purpose. I'm just trying to enjoy stuff, nice stuff, I don't care how it looks to people. I'll wear my Michael Kors bag, my Gucci sunglasses, and my Walmart sandals everywhere I go. I love my Michael Kors bag collection. Like, I don't care that people talk shit about it on TikTok all the time. They don't like Michael Kors. It's cheap, blah, blah, blah. That's what I like. And I don't buy Michael Kors because I think anything other than that I like. He makes cute bags, And so I feel like there's this group of people, which I get. Like, it is nice to aim for luxury, but aiming for luxury for different reasons. Like, keep up with the Joneses. I get it. Like, but like, it's this idea that like, you're not doing it as well as I am. You don't even understand because I'm poor, but you're more poor than me, and so I'm a lesser poor because I'm less poor than you. But one day I'll be okay. So
yeah, I've stumbled across these TikTok satire videos of this man who like, and this is how you peel a banana, and he's like using a fork and a knife, right? And it's like, no one's gonna think you're British royalty if you start peeling a banana with a fork and a knife. Like, you're not fooling anyone. And also, it's just ridiculous to even try.
So
like
ridiculous.
It reminds me of what our dad was saying, where it's like my inspiration in my middle age is what I'm calling this era of my life, is our stepmom. Like, she is just so beautiful. She is just
Relaxed,
so accomplished, relaxed, in control.
That's a good one.
Like, you know, just living her life and, you know, just doing her, you know? And like, so I often ask myself, what would she do?
Yeah.
And, you know,
she's like the woman that will buy a $7,000 suit but wear shoes from Temu. Like, that's the type of person. She does not
our dad
care.
was telling us that, like, basically, like, she's not focused on how much something costs or whose label it is.
Likes
it's like, she's gonna get it. And, you know, I definitely find myself, you know, it's like my wardrobe is either like Banana Republic, Burlington Coat Factory, Costco.
If I like it,
like,
who cares?
Yeah. It can be a range of things, you know, sprinkle in some other things, but it's like, I don't understand this idea that like, oh, I need to trick actual rich people into thinking I'm one of them.
They're pointing and laughing at you because their sunglasses still have the brand name in them. Like, okay, well, I gotta go. So, anyways, I had fun chatting with you and hanging out. This was a good sesh.
I know.
And I look forward to next week. I think we'll have some special content. We will let you all know when we're going to post our Coke taste test if you're interested in seeing that on our YouTube. And next week we're going to talk about Bonnaroo and what we're excited because that's coming up quick. So tune back in. We appreciate you guys for joining us again. Stay pretty.
Stay prideful, especially if you're black.
You know the drill.
You can't finesse. Bitch, I move smart like a motherfucking Tesla. I'm clutching this Glock, do I look like a wrestler? Get put on your back, tryna act like a flexer. Hold on, wait.
I have a cut on my finger and I got pineapple juice in it and it hurts really bad right now. I need some hand sanitizer. Hold on.
Alcohol? You need alcohol in your cut.
Yeah.
Because the acidic pineapple juice isn't painful enough.
Correct.
Okay.
It's got to clean out the pineapple juice.
Okay. Hello, Bubby.
I don't.
Oh, Sarah's was mean mugging me while I was outside.
Oh my gosh. Life is so hard, Amit.
What is that?
What?
Syringe.
This? Cuticle oil.
Of course.
Obviously. I had seen this girl that was on Love Island. Her name is Leah. Oh, God, that fucking hurt. Okay.
Of course it hurts.
Okay. I saw this girl on Love Island, Leah, talking about one of her, like, beauty secrets is when she leaves the house, she puts cuticle oil on her nails and her toes, and it just creates this, like, it just makes you look more moisturized. So in pictures, it just looks better. So I have cuticle. I already had cuticle oil, and I was like, well, yeah. Like, now I've been trying it. I see what she means, but sometimes I look down, and I'm like, it kind of looks like dirty. Like, so we're gonna keep trying it. But
yeah.
Also, I've been having this thing, like this nail specifically. I get my nails done every 3 weeks usually, and for some reason, this one is always growing something fierce on like the edge of my nail, like extra skin. And then every to go in and it gets shaved off. I need to actually ask her to cut it because I'm like, I don't know why it's growing so, it's annoying me. But that's also why I'm carrying.
I like the idea of cuticle oil. I could probably use that because they bother me a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
This Glock take him out like a date. She give me the pussy, I just want the face. Fuck her real good, put the bitch in her place. I'm high in the bitch, but my mind up in space.